Got a disabled vehicle blocking the center lane, 24 eastbound near Jefferson Street. The first street, that's exit 47. Crash Central Pike and Old Hickory Boulevard. A stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder, 65 southbound at Trinity Lane, north of downtown. And then 40 eastbound at 4th Avenue, you have a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 7 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, bringing it to you live today from Murfreesboro, where we got a lot going on. I mean, we got a debate that we're covering tonight. We have our good friends from Fox Nation that are here on the other end of the hallway getting set up, and that in itself would be a pretty big day, but we got a lot of other news going on. We're going to start with a discussion of what's happening in the Middle East, and we need to also talk about what might yet happen in the Middle East as we begin our show here, The Drive, this afternoon. Here's what I can tell you. We had an attack from Iran against Israel. Iran launched somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 ballistic missiles. Now, these are the best missiles that they have. These aren't cruise missiles. These aren't drones. These are big missiles. And what happened is that Israel, ready for it, I mean, the United States even seemed to know the hour in which this attack would come. So there was plenty of warning for them to get their systems up. And they have their systems up and running, all kinds of different intercept systems that are designed to intercept these things as they come to Iran. And most of them got intercepted. That's the good news. Some of them did go through, but according to the people in Israel, no one died as a result of this ballistic missile attack against Israel today. No one that we know of so far. So that's really, really good news. If the missiles got through, they fell in areas that weren't that important, open areas, some into the sea, etc. So, but it was the fact that Iran decided to launch such a large attack against Israel. And even though Israel was able to intercept them with the help, by the way, of the United States military, we got a lot of people out there with the ability to help intercept these missiles, so I'm sure that our folks helped out as well. But intercepting them was not the issue. The fact that they even had the temerity to make such a strike against Israel really raises a bunch of questions. Number one, how does it impact what Israel's been doing in the last few days and going into Lebanon to try to get Hezbollah to quit firing missiles into Israel? By the way, there were other things going on in Israel. Hezbollah was firing rockets into Israel from the north. And we had a situation where there were a couple of what appeared to be terrorist attacks at a train station in a town called Jaffa, where apparently a number of people died, maybe as many as 6 people died there. The targets were eventually neutralized. This all happened at exactly the same moment. And so the question is, what happens now? How does Israel respond? Does Israel say, well, we absorbed it, we didn't lose anybody, and just let it go? Not likely. And many people are saying that, Israel may use this as the reason to go into Iran directly and to go after targets inside Iran. Some of them are economic. I mean, if you go into Iran and you take out their refineries on the coast, that would be a real economic hit to Iran. Israel has always been very concerned, and the United States and other parts of the world as well, concerned about Iran's sort of nascent nuclear program where they are trying to build nuclear weapons. Now, if you went after that, you would be, taking out a potential threat for the future, because they don't, apparently, as we understand it, They may have some of the materials they need to make the bomb, but they have not yet made the bomb as far as we know. So if you take out their nuclear processing facilities, you are taking out a future threat. Will that happen? I think likely it will happen. And the question is, with us is we have some, 400,000 people in the region, and we're trying to figure out, whether or not we're going to get drawn into a larger conflict. And it has worldwide implications. I mean, oil markets are nervous right now. Stock markets are nervous right now. Everything that happened here today could well roil the markets. And by the way, it's not impossible that it would roil our election here in the United States as well. Let's go through some of the things that we know and some of the things that we're still trying to figure out. U.S. Navy destroyers fired a dozen interceptors against Iranian missiles. This according to CNN. U.S. Navy destroyers fired roughly a dozen interceptors against Iranian missiles that were launched toward Israel on Tuesday, Pentagon spokesman Major General Pat Ryder said. The U.S. currently has 3 guided missile destroyers in the eastern Mediterranean, the USS Arleigh Burke, the USS Cole, the USS Bulkley, according to Ryder. The destroyers involved were the Bulkley and the Cole. Ryder also said U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin spoke a second time on Tuesday with Israeli Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant, and after speaking with him before Iran's attack, he reaffirmed the United States' ironclad commitment to the defense of Israel and underscored that the U.S. remains well-postured throughout the Middle East region to protect forces and send Israel in the face of threats from Iran and Iran-backed terrorists. Iran is the bad actor in this region. I don't know how much of this that you follow all that closely, and I do get that when we start talking about foreign affairs in the Mideast, it gets quite confusing, and a lot of people, their eyes glaze over. But Iran is backing the 3 H's. Iran is backing Hamas in the south, the Hezbollah in the north. They're backing the Houthi rebels that are based in Yemen. And, of course, off to the east, as we have just seen, we have Iran with an ability to launch attacks into Israel as well. So Israel is completely surrounded by, people who are, it's either Iran or Iran-backed proxies who want to do Israel harm. And so ever since October 7th, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of October 7th. The attacks against Israel have been continuous. Israel has responded in a big way and has wiped out Hamas and now trying to wipe out Hezbollah in Lebanon. They took a strike against the Houthi rebels in Yemen just the other night. They're trying to weaken all of the organizations that want to do them harm and the organizations that are doing the bidding of Iran. Israel has incredible capabilities in the region. As I mentioned, we've got aircraft carriers. We've got, I think it's 40,000. I think I may have spoken a moment ago. 40,000 people in the region in the way of soldiers. We have aircraft battalions. We have all kinds of stuff in the region should this thing start to go wider and other entities start to get involved. And that is, of course, our great concern. We don't want a wider war. It's not good. It's not good on the world economy. It's not good for a lot of other reasons, and we don't really want that. So Joe Biden was in the briefing room today, was down in the bowels of the White House monitoring all this in the command center, and along with him was Kamala Harris. They have left. The situation for the moment seems to be a moment of relative calm inside Israel. And I think now the real question is, what does Israel do in response? Do they absorb it and say, okay, well, nobody was hurt, so we're not going to counterattack? That seems unlikely given what Israel has done in the past. Will they then take this as the opportunity to go in and really go after targets deep inside Iran? They have the capability of doing that. There's no doubt about that. They can launch an attack against Iran, but that would then mean a much wider war and and who knows who gets involved in it after that. So that's what we know so far. Iran's attack, totally unacceptable, says the U.S. Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, called the Iranian missile attack against Israel totally acceptable and said the entire world should condemn it. Blinken said this attack included some 200 ballistic missiles. Israel initially estimated that 180 missiles were launched in the country. We now believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 200. Israel effectively defeated this attack, said Blinken. And he was speaking at the State Department ahead of a meeting with the Indian External Affairs Minister. Iran, for its part, says that the Iran Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, had targeted 3 Israeli military bases around Tel Aviv during a wave of missile launches. They said it was really aimed at military targets. Let's see what else we have here. About 6,000 Americans are inside Lebanon, and as you know, beginning yesterday, Israel began a ground offensive inside Lebanon. It's limited at this time to near the border areas. What they're trying to do is limit Hezbollah's ability to fire missiles into Israel, and certainly everybody can understand that. But now we have a lot of Americans inside Beirut, and about 6,000 Americans have reached out to the U.S. State Department for further information about potentially departing Lebanon. Not all of those who have registered on the form are actively seeking assistance. The U.S. is working with airlines to provide additional flights with more seats for American citizens, and that's something that they hope to turn on in the next few days. As often we do in these situations, the U.S. citizens who are in Lebanon to register, they ask them to register with the State Department and especially provide information with how they might be able to depart Lebanon, where they want to go. Basically, in a situation like this, what happens is they just say, just get out of Lebanon. We don't, any place other than Lebanon is where you want to be. And so they will make whatever flights they can get. They get out of the country, then they can make other arrangements once they get out of the country of Lebanon. So, I mean, a real serious situation. What does this mean for us? Well, it means that we could well be drawn into a wider war in the Middle East. Our military sources there are, in harm's way, there's no doubt. Kamala Harris may believe that we don't have people in war zones, but when they're shooting at you, whether it's technically a war zone or not, it feels like a war zone. And certainly that is the case with our men and women in uniform in that region. Just the other day, as we had ships transiting into the Red Sea, the Houthi rebels were taking shots at them. And again, we have the ability to knock down those attacks. But, again, we have to get lucky every time. The attackers only have to get lucky one time, and then if U.S. military personnel are injured, then you can expect that we would want to get involved and respond to that. So the only way you can put it is it's a very tense situation that we are now experiencing in that part of the world, and I think the biggest concern that I have is, what in the world do we have in the way of a commander-in-chief? These are difficult times. These are tense times. These are complicated times. And one wonders if we have a commander-in-chief that is up to the task at hand. Does Joe Biden have the mental faculties to make those decisions? And by the way, it can also be just mentally and physically exhausting to have to stay up, long hours monitoring everything. Is he up to that physically? Is he up to it mentally? Does he have the mental acuity to handle this? These are all legitimate concerns that we have. And unfortunately, at this particular time, when we don't have a lot of confidence in the capabilities of our commander-in-chief, let's hope that we have some good people around him because, quite frankly, I really do worry that Joe Biden doesn't have the mental acuity, the capabilities to handle the tenseness of this situation and the delicateness of this particularly inflamed situation. So that's where we are right now. It will be a big story. We're watching all of our monitors, and if anything happens in that regard, we will immediately move back to this story. But right now, 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, there are a lot of diagnoses out there and a pill for everything, but not all diagnoses are accurate and not all pills are quite good for you. Listen, let me tell you, if you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And as you know, Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair for a diagnosis, go to Eurofix. It can not only save your vehicle's life, could save you a ton of money. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. At Eurofix, you'll never pay dealer prices. Now located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and their newest location, you know it, it's in Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
We'll tell you what U.S. military assets were used against Iran's attack on Israel, and we have an update on the response to Helene in Tennessee's easternmost counties. Coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, that is the voice of Ken Weaver in the newsroom. Chris Weber is in the control room, and I am live from Murfreesboro at Hop Springs, where we're getting ready for the big debate tonight between, Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. It's going to be quite the thing. As you know, we've had a lot of these debate shows where we go out and people are starting to show up already to fill up the hallway. And what's different this time is, there's a lot of security here because the people at Fox News have arrived on the other end of the hallway. They got their television cameras. They're going to be on Fox Nation tonight. And as soon as we are allowed to, we will tell you who's going to be here. But I know I'm pretty excited. I think you would be, too. So you hope you come on down and join us. We got plenty of room here, and we got monitors up so you can sit down and watch the debate. You can get an adult beverage if you want. A good time will be had by all. Let's talk a little bit about the debate itself and what we can expect. I have the rules here before me, and this will be different in many ways, in many respects, than the presidential debates. No opening statements, no audience, and no fact-checking. Let me go through this. 90-minute debate hosted by CBS, carried by a lot of other people, including Fox News. We'll carry it here. No mics will be muted during this particular debate. CBS has said the mics will only be muted at each candidate's discretion, but it says that it reserves the right to turn off candidate microphones. But while one candidate is speaking, the other candidate's mic will be largely open. And this is what I think is probably the most interesting thing, is that CBS, by the way, their hosts are Norah O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan. They have said that they will not be fact-checking the candidates. Rather, it will leave it up to the candidates to fact-check each other. The outlet said it will provide fact-checking live on its website while the debate airs. The approach by CBS will likely be similar to CNN's June debate rather than ABC's September debate. The fact checks that ABC News moderators offered in the September debate were criticized for being biased against Trump while not going after the false assertions of Kamala Harris. There will be very strict timing for questions and answers. CBS's Norah O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan will be the only people asking questions during the debate. Each candidate will be receiving 2 minutes to answer each question, and other candidates receiving 2 minutes to respond. Each candidate will also get 1 minute for rebuttals, with candidates receiving an additional 1 minute each to continue a discussion at the discretion of the two moderators. The candidates will not have opening statements, but each will get a 2-minute closing statement. Vance won the coin toss, so he gets to go last, which is what you want, to have the last word. The candidates will be on their feet for the entire debate, the entire 90 minutes. And there will be no live audience, just like the other presidential debates that we have already witnessed. Vance and Waltz will be standing behind podiums for the duration of the debate. O'Donnell and Brennan will be seated. Vance on the left, Waltz will be on the right. Marks the first time the candidates haven't been sitting for a vice presidential debate since 2008. At the podium, each candidate will have only these things: a pen, paper, a bottle of water. You cannot bring any props or pre-written notes. The venue will have a countdown with lights indicating how much time the candidate has left. The light will be green until there are 15 seconds. At that time, the light will go yellow, and at 5 seconds left, the light will flash red, and then once the clock hits 0, the light will be solid red. 90 minutes with 2 4-minute commercial breaks beginning at 9 p.m. That's Eastern time. During the commercial breaks, campaign staff will be prohibited from interacting with the candidates. The candidates will be introduced with the incumbent party going first, meaning Waltz, as the Democrat nominee for vice president will be introduced before Vance. And again, it's going to be seen just about everywhere. It's going to be on CBS, of course. It's their debate. Streamed on Paramount Plus, which is one of their cable channels. Various other networks include ABC, NBC, Fox News, CNN. They will also air live simulcasts of the debates. So we're in for an interesting night. As I mentioned, we'll be here to provide, all kinds of, analysis. I'll be joined here in a while by the whole team: Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy will be joining us as the evening progresses, and then we will give you an extra bonus hour, and then after that, the debate, and then after that, I think Matt Murphy's going to be over on Fox Nation as one of their guests, and that'll be worth watching as well. So a lot going on here tonight. We're at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro. Plenty of time for you to come down and join us and get a table and and settle in for what should be a very interesting evening. 3:30 now, time for the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, Pentagon spokesman Major General Pat Ryder says the U.S. coordinated closely with Israel's military to help defend it against what he calls a significant attack by Iran today.
U.S. Navy destroyers deployed to the Middle East region supported the defense of Israel by firing approximately a dozen interceptors against the incoming Iranian missiles.
Israel says a shooting at a travel station in Tel Aviv preceded the missile attack. At least 4 lives lost. It's considered a terrorist attack. Right now, in Hurricane Helene ravaged easternmost Tennessee counties, the State Department of Health says the death toll stands at 6, with at least 100 still accounted for. Tennessee has received a federal disaster declaration, but Governor Lee has requested and expects to receive an expedited major disaster declaration that opens up FEMA applications. State Transportation Commissioner Butch Ely just toured the damage and response with the governor and other dignitaries and tells the media,
"We had 47 sections of roadway that were closed down. We've now opened 25 of those. Now we've got 25 reopened already in that amount of time. As the governor said, we've had 300 bridges that have been inspected, and that's to get these things back open."
Yeah, 5 bridges are going to need to be rebuilt. Ely says 4 of them are already under contract. Now, donation centers are being set up in these 9 counties. Officials ask that you check the TEMA website for the needs list before donating. Meanwhile, conservative activist Robbie Starbuck announced on X he's working with a couple of state representatives from the region and has secured 10 Starlinks, which will provide internet service. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Big problem 65 northbound. This is going to be between Rivergate Parkway and Long Hollow Pike. 65 northbound is closed due to a crash in Goodlettsville. Traffic in every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let me talk to you about the folks over at DT McCall's. You know, I talk about them all the time, but, you know, you really have to stop and think about what a remarkable story this is. They've been around for more than a century as a family-owned business in this area. Started out with 1 location. Now there are 5, no doubt one of them near you. And here's the thing. You know, you don't make it that long without having a reputation for treating people right. And they will treat you right. For example, if you go there and you find something that you want, they're going to quote you a good price. And you're going to say, well, that's a pretty good price. And you know what? That's an honest price. No upcharges for delivery, no upcharges for setup, no upcharges for the haul away of the old thing that you no longer need. Just so they're going to give you an honest price and a good price. If you play that game with the big box stores, they're going to give you a low ball offer, and you think that's a pretty good price until they start adding on all the other stuff. They just don't deal honestly with you. One of the things I love about DT McCall's is that they have a reputation for treating people right, but also they do whatever they can to sell products that are made and manufactured right here in Middle Tennessee. And isn't that what you want, to keep your dollars stores local. So whether you need furniture, appliances, anything that you might need for your house. If you need a mower, man, they still got. If your old mower is like on its last leg, still time to get one. And just about anything else you want for your house. Go to their website to learn about their 5 convenient locations. DTMcCalls.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
"38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson on the air from Hop Springs and Murfreesboro, getting ready for the big debate party tonight. So if you want to join us, come on down. We have quite a few people who've already shown up here. Y'all say something. Make everybody know that you're here, all right? Hello? Yes, the deafening sound of dozens of people. They're all having adult beverages, having great conversations.
They're not listening to you.
They're not listening to me. So here we go. Let's talk about 2024. Let's bring you up to date on some things. If you were with us yesterday, you know that I had a sort of a moment where I said, I think something is happening. When you start to look at the numbers, when you look at some of the anecdotal evidence that we're hearing about from around the country, something is happening in campaign 2024, and it's good for us. Right after Joe Biden stepped down, Kamala Harris became the Democrat nominee, had a good convention, and we had that debate with her and Donald Trump. It didn't go so well for our side. One way or the other, at the end of the day, she made some inroads, and the numbers really tightened up. But in recent days, when you start to look at some of the internals of these polls, and you start to look at these polls in greater with greater scrutiny, what I seem to be finding is some signals and signs that things are getting a little better, and for our side, and Donald Trump is doing much better than would expect. I gave you a list of polls. I won't go through all the polls again, but the end result was, if those polls were accurate in the battleground states, you could expect Donald Trump to have 290 electoral college votes, which would be akin to a landslide because you need 270 to win. 290 would be a very healthy win. And he's doing very well, according to that poll, which is the most accurate poll in the last election. That polling company had the best reputation. And I thought, well, am I being too optimistic here? Am I looking at this and finding things that I want to see? It's always something you got to be on guard for. So I was very interested to hear the thoughts of pollster Matt Towery. He was on Fox News last night, and he seems to be seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, and I think others are seeing, that this is starting to look better for the Republicans in this presidential race. Take a listen to Matt Towery.
I've looked at polling that I've been privy to, and I'll probably be public in the next few days. Trump is trending up in almost every single battleground state. Almost everyone. And when you ask the question, how are your neighbors going to vote? You have very shy Trump voters sometimes. Those numbers explode. And I've not seen this in ages. And you know me, I'm usually Mr. Doom and Gloom for the Republicans and Trump. But right now I am seeing a true shift in public sentiment, not just in Michigan and Pennsylvania. I'm seeing it in Nevada, as a matter of fact. There's been a turnaround there. The only problem child right now is Georgia, and that's because the Republicans, you have two groups. Traditionalist Republicans who go way back, they're not feeling the groove with Trump right now. It's the more newcome Republicans and those who live in the exurbs and down in those areas that were hit by this storm. So this is an amazing, I'm seeing a shift. And I'll tell you, these prognosticators with these models that they have that have been wrong, by the way, each presidential election, they had this thing spreading wide open for Harris. They better rethink their models because this thing is closing, and it's closing with Trump having momentum, at least with the 30-something days we have left.
34 days out, and Trump has momentum. Exactly where you want it to be. Exactly where you want it to be. And I think Matt Towery is on to something, and I'm seeing many of the same things that he was talking about in the internals of these polls. And, who knows? It is a snapshot in time. But I never look at one individual poll. What I look at is, a series of polls. We average them out. And then we also then look at the trend. The trend, I think, in the battleground states in the last few days has started to shift toward Donald Trump, and I think that is a good thing. Anybody who looks at those numbers, if you're a Democrat and you're not at the beginning, you'll get a little bit concerned, then you're not really in touch with reality because those numbers started to look a lot better. And it's not just one poll, it's a number of polls that suggest that something out there is shifting. I mean, even the Democrat running for Senate in Michigan says that in Michigan, her polling has Kamala Harris underwater. So, I mean, I think something's happening. It feels that way to me. One of the things that will be very interesting to watch, and we will talk more about what's going on with the response to the hurricane and the flooding through a bunch of southern states, but this really hit a lot of areas where Republican support has been so strong. And many people are wondering if the Biden administration is now having their Katrina moment. In other words, a lot of criticism was thrown at President George W. Bush after Katrina down in New Orleans because they said it wasn't really, the help was not moving as fast as it should have. Now, there were some valid reasons for that, and a lot of them had to do with the fact that the city and the state were not asking for the help of the federal government, what has to happen before the federal government can take action. But in this particular case, the people in North Carolina and others are complaining about the slow pace of the recovery effort. Where is FEMA? Where are the feds? How come we don't have any water? How long is it going to take to get the electricity back up? People are not happy with the way things are going in that regard in North Carolina and places like South Carolina, in Georgia, and eastern Tennessee. They are finding that things are moving very slowly. I noted that our friend Robbie Starbuck is apparently taking in a bunch of Starlinks. Starbuck with the Starlinks going into some of these areas, and it's helping. I mean, one of the things they need most of all is reliable communication, and the federal government is not, setting the world on fire with their response, according to the people in the region. Could that hurt Kamala Harris? Yes, I think it could, and I think that's something to watch. Interesting story I found here. You'll like this one. How many times have we heard Kamala Harris talk about being a prosecutor? How she was, a prosecutor, and she tried a lot of cases, right? Jeff Clark, former acting assistant attorney general during the Trump administration, says that Vice President Kamala Harris appears to be, and his words here, a liar and misrepresenting her record, as a comprehensive search into her background as prosecutor has failed to produce evidence that she ever led the prosecution on even a single case at the local or state level. During this investigation into whether Harris was first chaired a trial at any point in her career as the district attorney of San Francisco, attorney general of California, deputy district attorney in Alameda County, Clark was unable to find any evidence at all that Harris had ever argued an appeal. Clark is now calling on the Harris campaign to release a single transcript of any case the vice president has allegedly argued. The review of Harris's record comes as she frequently refers to her prosecutorial experience as being one of her strong qualifications to be president. Clark said his investigation into Harris began because he was simply suspicious of the vice president's overblown record as a prosecutor. I had the same suspicions that these claims were overblown and just initially thought, hey, let me see a transcript of her arguing and her questioning a witness, making her objections about the admission of evidence so that I can assess her claim quality as a lawyer. I thought it wouldn't be hard to find a trial transcript of a trial that she had conducted, but it turned out to be quite a futile search. This is Clark speaking on the Michael Patrick Leahy show. Can't seem to find a single one despite looking as hard as I can. At this point, there's not a single public transcript of her arguing a case or taking witnesses, of her having an interchange with the judge. It's just like it's not there. That's both in appellate courts in California, in federal courts, even in habeas matters or in trial courts. Clark said the lack of evidence points to the possibility that Harris was always a second or third chair prosecutor but never led a prosecution. How about that? Isn't that interesting? Many questions about whether or not Tim Walz was the right choice for Kamala Harris as vice president. The Federalist, Molly Hemingway, she wrote an interesting article, said that Tim Walz isn't helping Kamala Harris, he's hurting her. He's failing to win over white men, which was one of the reasons why they wanted this guy who looked like Joe Everybody in a ball cap to be the vice presidential running mate. But he hasn't won over white men. White men are among the one demographic that is almost universally not voting for Kamala Harris. It hasn't secured any crucial swing states. So what was the advantage of him? Maybe we'll see if he's any good at a debate, which is going to take place later tonight. There's some gamesmanship that takes place when you are having a debate. You have a situation where you want to lower expectations and let everybody know, well, Tim Walz has said, I'm not a very good debater. I'm really worried that I'm going to not do well and let down the campaign. These words have sort of seeped back into some of reporters reporting on the matter. Is that true or not? I mean, you never know whether that is a true assessment of his ability or his attempt to try to lower expectations so that if he comes out having made no major mistakes, everybody thinks it's a win. I will say this about debates. The presidential debates, they matter. I'm not sure. In fact, I've seen a poll on this, one of those snap polls on Fox 17, asked the question, is there anything that's likely to happen in a vice presidential debate that will change your mind? And 95% of those people who answered the question said, no, it wouldn't change my mind at all. Only 5% said it would make a big difference. People look at the vice, they're interested, they want to know whether or not these people are competent to take on the responsibility of the presidency. That's the only thing that they care about. Whether they have a good debate or a bad debate probably won't move the needle all that much at this particular point. But nonetheless, it is important for people to get a gauge as to whether or not somebody can actually be a good vice president, which means that, you have to be ready to assume the job, one heartbeat away from the presidency. 50 minutes now past the hour.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
The U.S. says it's working with Israel on next steps after the Iran attack on Israel. This story and more coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you, Ken Weaver. Let's take a look at the markets and see how the day went. A lot of red on the screen here. Dow Jones Industrials down 173 points. That's about 0.5%. S&P down about 1%, 53 points. NASDAQ down 1.5%, down 278 points. I think the screens are red mostly because of the concern about what's happening in the Middle East. But let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management to get some idea about what he thinks is driving the markets today. John?
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, the Iran attack on Israel definitely unsettling the market, sort of a volatile start to the fourth quarter, but there was some additional information that the market really did not like. A lot of job openings. They were up over 300,000 to a little over 8 million in August. And what that's going to mean is potentially the Fed may not be in such a hurry to cut interest rates. So when you add that to what happened in Iran, and we actually got a manufacturing number that didn't get a lot of play today that came in a contraction manner in terms of it's below expansion, the market also didn't like that. So when you start to add all that up, it adds to a lot of uncertainty. And of course, there's a big jobs report coming back later today. So Iran definitely the big one, but also jobs and manufacturing unsettling the market today.
All right, thank you very much, John. And find out about all the things that John Max and the other good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock. Say, if you want an engagement ring that she'll be proud to wear, there's only one place to go, and that's Genesis Diamonds. Genesis has cornered the market on all the world-class designers. These New York and Los Angeles-based designers are really the best of the best. Every store wants them, but very few stores make the cuts. Well, Genesis did make the cut. They have all the luxury brands that women are asking for, so don't settle. Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis. And don't think you'll pay more. Genesis has complete ready-to-wear designer rings as low as $1,900. And, of course, no jeweler can beat the price of Genesis diamonds. Whether you want natural diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, Genesis has the guaranteed best prices and the highest quality. And only Genesis gives you a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee plus free service for life. All this with no commissioned salespeople, no pressure ever. Nobody delivers for you like Genesis when it comes to quality, value, selection, warranties, or customer care. Get the deal you deserve on your diamond at Genesis Diamonds now with an expanded selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches, all the hard-to-find models. Check them out at Genesis Diamonds. 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Four o'clock on the dot this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Right now, we've got a crash on a 40 westbound. This is going to be in Dixon County. It's between 840 exit 176 and the Centerville-Dixon Highway 46 exit 172. It is an 8-minute delay. Goodlettsville, you got the right shoulder blocked. This is by a crash, 65 northbound right before Long Hollow Pike. That backing things up as well, but at least it is moving. Full forecast, another traffic update in 5 minutes. And right now, let's get right to Iran attacks Israel.
Iran launching nearly 200 missiles at Israel earlier with air sirens sounding. Most were intercepted by Israel's defense system and with the help of the U.S. President Biden at the White House monitored the situation and spoke moments ago.
At my direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel, and we're still assessing the impact. But based on what we know now, the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective.
Israel says it is planning a response to Iran's strikes. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan.
We will consult with the Israelis on next steps in terms of the response and how to deal with what Iran has just done, and we will continue to monitor for further threats and attacks from Iran and its proxies.
Iran's president in a social media post on X calling out Israel's prime minister, saying Iran is not belligerent but stands firmly against any threat.
That's Michelle Franzen reporting, and with our team coverage, Stephen Portnoy on former President Trump's response.
The former president responded to the strikes in Wisconsin.
If I were in charge, today's attack on Israel never would have happened.
Donald Trump argued if elected, he would bring about world peace.
If she gets 4 more years, the world goes up in smoke. This world will go up in smoke.
One of Trump's top congressional allies, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, said the U.S. should coordinate with Israel on an overwhelming response, saying Iranian oil refineries should be hit and hit hard.
Here in Tennessee, Governor Lee and a host of State Department heads and the 2 U.S. senators assessed Helene damage in the state's easternmost counties. This is Transportation Commissioner Butch Ely.
We've done a tremendous amount of work in the last 100 hours. We'll do twice as much in the next 100 hours. And we're going to get this done.
Commissioner Ely says crews have reopened 25 sections of road, inspected more than 300 bridges, 5 of which he says will need complete rebuilds. And later tonight in Middle Tennessee, the Rutherford County School Board votes on a resolution urging the district attorney to prosecute students criminally and put them in jail for making threats to schools.
I hope that all of our families and parents or students are listening to this, because we do mean business. This has gotten way out of hand. It's not just here in Murfreesboro, it's across the state, across the nation. But this is a good resolution, and we will be prosecuting.
This resolution also calls for students who make threats to schools to lose their driver's licenses. The meeting starts at 5:30. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
All right, lots of brake tapping, folks trying to get home, especially if you are on the East Loop, both east and westbound downtown. Pretty backed up going north and southbound 65 from the South Loop, and then 40 east and westbound in between downtown and the 40-24 split. Still got a crash causing problems in Goodlettsville, the right shoulder block there, 65 northbound before Long Hollow Pike. And right now, Dixon County, a crash 40 westbound between 840 and Centerville-Dixon Highway 46, exit 172. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 8 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, and you're listening to me live from Murfreesboro today, where we're getting ready for the big vice presidential debate party at Hop Springs. Some people have already started to show up here at the other end of the hall. It's not only us, but the good people from Fox Nation are here, and we'll be broadcasting before and after the debate here a little bit later. And I'm not at liberty for very important reasons. You know, security is very tight here. We have metal detectors and a bunch of guys in suits that look very menacing, and so we've got security here, but we can't really tell you who's going to be there at the Fox Nation location just yet. But I think you'll be impressed. So come on down, join us. But still time to get down here, get a seat, and settle in for what should be a pretty interesting debate tonight. You know, nothing like watching these things with somebody who sees the world quite the way that you are. While we're waiting on some of that, and by the way, Dan Mandis and Chris Hand and Matt Murphy will be joining me here in just a short while as we continue to bring you coverage from Hop Springs. Let me try to cover two or three things that are going on in the news right now. Number one, if you are just getting into your car and you haven't been aware of what's going on in the world around you today, you're not alone, but let me just bring you up to speed. There has been an attack against Israel by Iran. Iran has launched some 200 ballistic missiles in the direction of Israel. They have a very sophisticated interception system that we helped them develop, and it has worked pretty well. A few missiles got through, but the vast majority were intercepted, and the people in Israel are now saying that nobody died as a result of those attacks. We have U.S. military in the region, about 40,000 men and women. And a number of aircraft strike carrier groups are in the area, and they participated in intercepting some of these missiles as well. And again, this all happens as Israel is launching a ground assault on parts of Lebanon very next to the border, trying to take out Hezbollah. Going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. But one way or the other, tense times. And the question is, I think, will probably not be decided right away. Probably will be decided in the next few days. How does Israel respond to this? Apparently, the United States and Israel will consult, and we said going in that if there was an attack against Israel by Iran, that there would be consequences. Now, we said that. Israel also said that. So what are the consequences, and how deeply do we get drawn into what could become a wider conflict? But there we have that. That is one of the big things happening today. Again, things seem to be relatively calm at the moment, but who knows what might happen next in the volatile Middle East. Okay, that's one story. Number two story, we are still trying to clean up the mess in our country from Hurricane Helene. Let's just talk about the Tennessee situation. As you know, I-40 going into North Carolina is closed. Here in Tennessee, we have 5 bridges that are completely gone, and TDOT, the Tennessee Department of Transportation, plans to move quickly with repairs to infrastructure damaged by Hurricane Helene, notably I-40. That's the number one thing. You got to get that back up and running. That's a big interstate highway. I am told that in the state of Tennessee alone, 5 bridges are gone, 14 bridges are damaged and are closed. So there are areas where you have to go a long way to get where you're going because of the closed bridges, and some areas are just not reachable right now by a roadway. They're inspecting about another 100 bridges over the course of 36 hours. So we are beginning the top priority, according to the state of Tennessee, and Will Reed, the deputy commissioner of TDOT, is to get some contracts let so we can get I-40 back up and running. But they're still in what they call the debris removal and assessment phase. It is quite, I'm telling you, if you've looked at the pictures, quite a serious thing. How big a flood was it? I thought maybe, talking and looking at some of the stuff that I read, that maybe it might be a 100-year flood. Then some people said that it might be a 500-year flood. But now comes word that it may be a 1,000-year flood. Tennessee Climate Office will evaluate the catastrophic flooding from Hurricane Helene that washed away roads, bridges, and homes, killed 6 people in the state's easternmost communities. It's just Tennessee we're talking about. You know how bad it is in parts of North Carolina. The impacts and the amount of rainfall was pretty unprecedented in modern times. There were a few events in the early 20th century, over 100 years ago, that have been similar. It's hard to say with the lack of data, said state climatologist Dr. Andrew Joyner. But this was definitely a huge event, the biggest in generations in this area of northeast Tennessee, certainly in western North Carolina. The office is based out of East Tennessee State University, the same part of the country where there had been some serious floods. Forecasts were pretty good with where the rain would fall and how big it would be. You never know the types of impacts and how quickly massive walls of water and debris can move and the types of damages they can cause. I think it would have been hard for anyone to predict. What did we hear yesterday? 40 trillion gallons of water fell from the sky. Just unbelievable. He says we got a little bit of imagery in Washington County and able to compare that to some of the models they have for a 500-year flood, and the floodwaters were beyond the 500-year. They said it seems like a 1,000-year event in many locations. I mean, when you have some parts of North Carolina that had 31 inches of rain, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water. So, it is a big situation there, still trying to figure out what's going on in that part of the world. Communication is not great. A tip of the hat to our friend Robbie Starbuck, who apparently was able to get a bunch of Starlink receivers up and running in East Tennessee. I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20. I read a tweet from Elon Musk just a few moments ago that said if you have a Starlink receiver, before the day is out, they hope to have all of them working free of charge. In other words, in the areas where there has been a lot of damage, they won't worry so much about you paying, just making sure that you have the service. That requires a little bit of work and changing their systems, but they are on it, and they say that they will absolutely have that stuff up and running before long. So if you have a Starlink system, maybe you just use it now and then, like many people have them for their motorhomes or their travel trailers. Well, if you turn it on probably tomorrow, it'll run, and you don't need to worry about credit cards or payment. And again, congratulations to Robbie Starbuck for doing what the federal government apparently cannot do, which is get this thing up and running. The response from the federal government, according to many, has been lacking. Not quite there. They have complained about the fact that they have no communication, they have no clean water and food. These are the very basics that you need, and it takes a while, especially when you look at Asheville, North Carolina, where, I think all but one major road into Asheville has been completely destroyed. There's only one right way in, and it's taking a while for the goods and services to get there. But Robbie Starbuck knows that one of the things you need most in a situation like this is reliable communication. If you don't know about the Starlink system, it's internet delivered by satellite, and it works. It's fast, and it's getting better every day when they put more of these satellites up. And I'm telling you, for those people there, it's a godsend. And again, if you have a Starlink system in that part of the world, they say as soon as they can get all of the changes made in their software, if you're in the region where there's been a lot of damage, that system will work. We'll worry about paying for it later, but just get you up and running so you have some communication. I mean, 1,000-year flood, and I'm pretty sure that the state officials are all over what they can do. The question is, how much help will you get from the federal government, and when will that help come? The folks at the White House have said that they're on it, but it's a big storm. A lot of states. You got to believe that FEMA is spread pretty thin over that many states and that big an area where they really have a lot of need. From Florida all the way to Virginia, there is a great need for FEMA's, and what they can provide. And so far, according to people on the ground that I've been watching, they're not overwhelmed by the federal government's response. And so, it's going to be, I think, I'm glad to see people like Robbie Starbuck who are just saying, look, we'll do what we can do. We're not going to sit around here and wait for the federal government. If there's something we can do to make the situation better, we will begin that process. So good on you, Robbie Starbuck, for doing that and making sure that people have some communications. Water, food, communications, in those order. That's what they say that they need. And remember, it's going to be a long haul for these people. The stories that we're seeing now and the discussion we're having about it will continue for a day or two more. But then, the thing about it is it's not going to get better for them for a long time. For the folks who've actually gone through it, this is going to be an event that will take some time for them to handle and to get situated and to get things back to some level of normalcy. So, again, I'm glad to know that Robbie Starbuck is doing that on behalf of the people. And I've just been handed a note here from WTN's own Dan Mandis that Robbie Starbuck will be on his show tomorrow at 7:05 to talk about what he has learned, what is needed, and what their future plans are for getting more of the communications into the areas where they so desperately needed it, and the federal government doesn't seem to be able to help them out in the level that they hope that they might be able to. It is 20 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. They are well known for their basic smart care plans that start at just $69 a month. That includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests for a full year. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same or the next day, and there's no long wait times in the waiting room. Grace Point is your primary provider. They treat the entire family from newborns to seniors. And they want you to know, and boy, it is true, fall allergy season is here. Don't suffer through another seasonal change. Get complete testing and complete treatment and enjoy the beauty of fall this year. Grace Point, if you don't know, is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Call 599-6868 to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Vice President Kamala Harris speaks on Iran's attack on Israel today. This and the closing money news coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's my friend Ken Weaver there. Hello, Ken. Good to have you on board this afternoon. Watching, he will break in if there are any new developments, of course, in the situation that we have, in the region, the Mideast region, because I'm telling you, not a good situation there with the attacks against Israel. 200 ballistic missiles launched against Israel from Iran. And we have Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying to Israelis tonight that the Iranians made a big mistake.
Yeah.
And that they will pay for launching a missile attack on the country Tuesday.
And we really don't have any reason to doubt him.
No, I mean, they have always, the one thing about the Israelis, when they say they're going to do something, they pretty much do it.
Pretty much, yes,
and,
sir.
And I don't, I think the United States would like them to back down a little bit. Since nobody was apparently killed in this massive attack, it talks to just how good the Israelis are at defending against these missiles with their various systems. But the other side of it is that they are outraged that such a thing can happen. And I just got a feeling that Israel sort of would like to use this as an opportunity to go in and sort of mop up some things inside Iran.
Yeah.
And wouldn't be surprised at all if they do that. I mean, they got a nuclear program that Iran's very concerned about. They could have an economic impact by taking out refineries. They could go after the leadership of Iran if they so chose. Basically, the thing is that Israel can launch an attack against Iran And Iran doesn't have the same capabilities to defend against the attack that Israel has.
Right.
So they've got an advantage, and the United States is going to stand apparently with Israel on this, with all of our resources in the region. But he's on it. He's watching for me, and we'll break in if there's anything to report on that tonight. I think we're through for tonight, but there's who knows. We really don't know.
Right.
Okay. The other story that is a big economic story here that has happened is that the dock workers are on strike. The first time that has happened since 1977. That means that 36 ports around the country, basically most of the East Coast ports and the Gulf of Mexico ports, so this goes all the way from Maine down to South Texas, that they effectively are shut down. Some goods that are already on the dock will be moved inland, but no more ships are going to be unloaded. That's what longshoremen do. And they're on strike. 45,000 port workers say it will order a work stoppage as contract negotiations without the U.S. Maritime Alliance employer group have completely broken down. The dock workers are asking for a 77% increase in pay, but I'm telling you, they have some leverage here because if it drags out over several weeks, it could cripple U.S. markets and cause shortages. I mean, the first thing you might see are perishable goods that are brought into this country. Things like fruits and vegetables coming in from other countries to our ports will not be making their way to the grocery store. And that'll be probably the first thing that you see. But, I mean, so much of what we count on is made somewhere else and brought here. It could end up costing the U.S. economy somewhere around, are you ready for this number? $5 billion a day. The first and the last strike by the International Longshoremen's Association was in 1977 under then-President Jimmy Carter. And what they saw then were foreign alcoholic products. Wait, what? Wait. Sugar, cocoa, even furniture and appliances being shipped to the United States. By the way, interesting that Jimmy Carter's name should come up. It's his birthday. Do you guys know how old Jimmy Carter is today?
I do, just because I've seen it all over television today.
He's 100 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have mixed emotions in this country, I think, about Jimmy Carter. I think many people would agree he was not perhaps the greatest president, but he sure was a really good former president and did so much good in the world. And I think that he has used the celebrity that comes with being president for some really wonderful things like building homes for those who are less fortunate. And so happy birthday to Jimmy Carter, who turns 100 years old today. So there is that. But again, the last time that the longshoremen went on strike was when he was president, and they did see shortages of a lot of things, and it took a while for it to sort of resolve itself. If you're worried about Christmas, I've been told that most of the major retailers knew this was coming, and they moved up their shipments so that stuff got here earlier. So maybe you'll still be able to get that Christmas gift you're looking for. But if the longshoreman strike goes very long, it will have an impact on our economy to the tune of $5 billion with a B dollars every single day. 30 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Vice President Kamala Harris delivering remarks this afternoon on the Iranian missile attack on Israel.
We will continue to work with our allies and partners to disrupt Iran's aggressive behavior and hold them accountable.
Now, the U.S. military got involved, deploying missile interceptors from 2 U.S. Navy destroyers. No reports of casualties in Israel. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the U.S. has made clear there will be severe consequences, echoing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Right now in Tennessee, Governor Lee speaking on search and rescue efforts after touring Hurricane Helene damage in the easternmost counties.
The effort has been Herculean, and I have nothing but support for those officials who are out there right at this moment looking for those who may have been lost.
At least 100 still unaccounted for. The death toll stands at 6, according to the state health department. And Transportation Commissioner Butch Ely today said 25 state roads have reopened. 300 bridges have been inspected. 5 will need to be rebuilt. Money News, Michelle Franzen.
Stocks fell from their records amid worries about the escalating situation in the Middle East. The Dow lost 173 points. The Nasdaq dropped 279. The S&P fell 54. Investors are worried that Iran's missile attack on Israel could lead to a disruption in the flow of oil. Prices, both for U.S. and Brent, rose more than 2%. Shares of gas producers and defense contractors rallied on the Mideast attacks, but the majority of stocks sank. Complicating matters for the U.S. is the dockworker strike at 36 ports across the eastern U.S., which could lead to supply chain problems and higher prices for goods. Workers are demanding higher pay and no automation of work. Economists are also weighing the data of 2 recent reports. One shows U.S. manufacturing weakened more than expected in September. Another finds more than 8 million job openings were posted in August, better than expected.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Particularly heavy traffic getting out of town to get home, especially the South Loop downtown, then the East Loop downtown, both directions, north and southbound 65 just south of downtown, and 440 going east toward 24, especially backed up there between 65 and 24, also before 65. Got a couple of crashes we're still dealing with. 40 westbound between 840 and the Centerville-Dixon Highway 46 exit there in Dixon County. And in Goodlettsville, 65 northbound before Long Hollow Pike, the right shoulder blocked by a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Hey, did you know that gold is up big time? It's hitting all-time records, and silver is up big time as well. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has lost 25% of its value since 2020. The government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop. Gold and other precious metals are a great shield against that inflation theft. I mean, the politicians will promise you that they're going to rein in their spending, but you know how that goes. It's all talk. They can't help themselves. That's why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending sprees. And where do you get that protection? Well, why don't you reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They will take good care of you and keep you well informed on all precious metals opportunities. So act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com and set up your appointment today.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It's 38 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson coming to you live from Murfreesboro for the big vice presidential debate party that we're planning here. People have started to arrive. You may hear the cacophony in the background. Yeah. Hello, everybody. There they are. See, they're alive out there. It's starting to fill up, but still a lot of room out here, and monitors are set up. A very pleasant evening on tap, so come on down to Hop Springs in Murfreesboro for the event. We're on one end of the bar room scene, and on the other end of the sort of the bar hall here is the folks from Fox Nation. The talent has not yet arrived over there, but the anticipation is growing. And when they arrive, then I'll be able to tell you who they are. But I know. It's not me. I'm keeping a secret from you. Because,
How could you?
Well, it's about security. I mean, security is a lot tighter. And you think we have tight security for our events? You ain't seen nothing. There's about 5 guys in suits. Look like linebackers.
That'll scare me none.
Yeah. Well, come on down, Ken Weaver.
Come on down there.
Come on down there. We'd love to see you. Johnny Bozeman in the house.
Johnny B.
Yeah, you say hello to Johnny B, everybody. Cabana Wife is in the house. She came by to bring me some. I'm so glad she brought me a pillow. Because I'm telling you, these seats are just like rock. But anyway, I'm much more comfortable since she arrived.
All right.
So a big event tonight, a lot of fun, and I hope that you'll come down. I want to open up the phone lines now, 615-737-9986. And here's the thing that I want to ask you. Is this vice presidential debate important to you? What do you hope will happen here? What question would you like to see asked tonight of the vice presidential candidates? 615-737-9986. I had a story here earlier about the rules of the debate tonight while we're waiting on some calls to come in at 615-737-9986. There will be a little bit different than the presidential debates in that they're not going to mute the mics all the time. Now, they said CBS might mute the mics if something became a problem, but that was not their intention. That they were basically planning to keep them on throughout the evening. They will stand for the entire 90 minutes of the debate. And the two moderators, Norah O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan, will be seated. A lot of questions that they have prepared. Some people are not real sure that CBS will be, as we like to say, fair and balanced about all this, given some of the coverage of their network of this presidential campaign, where the overwhelming amount of information that has been discussed about Kamala Harris has been positive, and most of the conversation about Donald Trump on that network has been negative. But one way or the other, they're the ones asking the questions. 2 minutes for an answer, 2 minutes for a response, and then at the discretion of the moderators, they might go an extra minute or so. So what is it that you want to see going on here tonight? 615-737-9986. What is your thought about the questions you'd like to see asked? And what would you like to happen here tonight as this last debate of the presidential election season gets underway? Let's talk to Santana, calling in from Sparta. And we got a lot of phone lines open, by the way, 615-737-9986. What's on your mind? What is your greatest hope here for the night?
Actually, I have a recommendation for everybody to read or listen to it on audio. So everybody get a pen and paper ready.
Does this have to do with the debate?
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay, go ahead.
Look into The Secrets of the Federal Reserve by Eustace Mullins.
Okay. Thank you for that. Greatly appreciate it. Kenyon and Gallatin, you're on with Brian on the drive. So, Kenyon, vice presidential debate. First, let me just ask you a question. Is there anything that can happen here that would change your opinion about the coming election and how you might vote, or are you pretty locked in?
I'm pretty locked in. I'm absolutely locked in. I'm doing this for entertainment value. I think J.D. Vance is going to kill it. I think it'll be entertaining.
What is the thing that you hope will be sort of explored by these moderators tonight?
A lot of the stuff that's overseas that's going on. I mean, it's in the news today. I'd like to hear, both of their opinions on that, the border, and the economy.
All right, the border and the economy; those are the big issues. And again, we're starting to see what I think is a shift back away from Kamala Harris and back toward Donald Trump in these latest numbers that have come out from the battlegrounds area. So this could either add momentum to that effort, or it could. I just can't imagine a scenario where it hurts one of these candidates. But we want to know, don't we, that these people are capable of being the president if they were called into action. Rod in Mount Juliet. Rod, hello. You're on with Brian on the drive. What's your thought about all this tonight, Rod?
Well, I just wish, and thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
I just wish somebody would ask Wall, if his party was nominated into office, what could he do better than, Kamala Harris did for the last 4 years?
That's a great question. I mean, isn't it? Because, he will be in the position that the front runner is in right now. Isn't it interesting how they keep talking about all the things they're going to do on day one when they've had, for them, day one is right now. Kamala Harris is in charge. I mean, basically, she can go back and talk to the president, and they basically have the ability to change all the things they say they're going to change right now. Isn't it interesting? And you're right. He'll be the new Kamala Harris if the Democrats win, which I don't think is going to happen. Thank you, Rod. Appreciate it. Great point. Reed in Columbia. Hello, Reed. You're on with Brian on the drive. What's your thought about tonight's debate?
Hey, Brian.
What do you hope will happen? What is your expectation?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for the time on air. Coming on the heels of the hurricane that we had to get through, I'm really concerned about this strike that's going on with the dock workers. I understand that this is a 6-year deal that terminates on this date, and it has nothing to do with the arrival of the hurricane. Obviously, has nothing to do with that. I think it's bad optics on the part of the union to not put a 30-day stay on it and say, look, we're going to revisit this on November 1st for humanitarian reasons because of the impact of the hurricane. And my question to both of them that I would like to see the moderators put forth is, would you entertain something like trying to arbitrate some sort of a 30-day stay for humanitarian reasons for people impacted by the hurricane? This is not the time to be causing supply chain shortages for the country at all, but specifically for the individuals who've been impacted, basically a third of the country, the way that they've been impacted, the way they have from Hurricane Helene.
You know, you're exactly right. And what's interesting has been the reaction of the current president of the United States, Joe Biden. He was asked about that. You know, would you invoke Taft-Hartley? And he said, no, I wouldn't. Taft-Hartley, I'm sorry. Taft-Hartley, would you invoke it? And he said, no, he wouldn't. Now, past presidents have done that to give a 30-day cooling off period. And you're saying, I think you're right about one thing, and it does concern me and a lot of other people that we've got, the economic impacts of all of this damage. And then on the heels of that, the economic impact of the docks all closing down. What a serious problem that could be. What a 1-2 punch that could be for the economy that is still sort of limping along and not at all recovered the way it should recover. And so, yeah, I think that's a very good point. And I'm sure it will come up. I mean, honestly, how could you not bring up the things that have happened today? The attacks against Israel, the breaking down of the negotiations between the dock workers and the union, and the closing of these major arteries of commerce. They say that when this all happens, that you will have a $5 billion a day hit, is what the ultimate impact of this dock workers strike could be. And sounds like they're not ready to cave very easily. They're ready to let this thing go for a while. Thank you for the call. Paul in Nashville, you're up next on the drive. What's your thought, Paul?
My question is, thanks for taking my call. My question is Tampon Tim, my ask Tampon Tim, is he going to put tampons at all the military barracks across the country and other countries? And as a result of him being vice president, is he going to continue to demoralize our military that is supposed to be defending us? Thank you very much.
You know what? It'll be interesting to see if J.D. Vance, gets it. Because part of what you do in a debate is you answer the questions from the moderators. But if you're any good at all at this, and I think both of these guys are, pretty good communicators. I would say J.D. Vance a better communicator than Tim Walz. But if you're any good at all, you pivot and then you turn it against your opponent and you ask them a question. I have a feeling that CBS is going to follow sort of the CNN model, which is we're going to let people mix it up. We're not going to try to fact check. They say they're not going to fact check anybody today, that they'll let the candidates fact check each other. So it'll be interesting to see whether, J.D. Vance takes a shot like that at Tim Walz. I'm certainly hoping it's going to be, I think it'll be a pretty feisty debate, maybe more feisty than the ones we've witnessed. Betty in Hendersonville, you're up next on the drive. What do you say, Betty?
If there's one thing I hope J.D. Vance goes after Waltz about, it's his phony military stuff.
Yep.
And if he has an opportunity to, I'd say go for a double and hit him up with his nonsensical transgender laws that he put in Minnesota. Those two things right there, to me, are just beyond belief.
Thank you very much, Betty. Greatly appreciate it. One of the things that that's been very much in the news, maybe I can find the story. I brought it here with me today. A story that says that J.D. Vance is sort of now backtracking on how many times he actually traveled to China. I think he has on record as saying it was around 30 times, and now he's saying, well, it really wasn't 30 times. It was more like 15 times. I think a lot of questions need to be raised about why so much travel to China. Thank you for the calls. Greatly appreciate it. 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. You know, there are no pills or spinal creams that can magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off your nerves. You have two choices, basically. One is surgery. The other is the application of non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I've used non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They've got a state-of-the-art facility and the latest high-tech equipment that offers the latest non-surgical procedures and techniques. And because getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine. That's right. And if you're a new patient, listen to this. You go, you get your exam, your consultation, and your first treatment, and all of that only costs you $23. After that, remember, half off the high-tech, non-surgical, non-invasive spinal decompression. I'm Brian Wilson. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at paintisbad.com.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Iran's attack on Israel, the U.S. response, Hurricane Helene response update in East Tennessee. And October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There's reason to celebrate coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And while I have just a moment here, let me read you this story that Fox News has put out about Tim Walz and the number of times he's been to China. He says, I've been to China dozens of times. He said that during a 2016 congressional hearing. He said later, I've been there about 30 times, and that was to a publication who wrote an article about him. However, the Harris Walz campaign recently acknowledged to Minnesota Public Radio the number was closer to 15 times. The revision comes amid growing scrutiny from the GOP critics over Walz's potential ties to the People's Republic of China and its ruling Communist Party. Earlier this month, the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, the chairman of that committee, James Comer, sent a letter asking the FBI to produce documents related to the Chinese Communist Party entities or officials that Walz has purportedly engaged in the past. So there you have the update on that. That would be something very interesting for J.D. Vance to raise tonight, don't you think? It's now 58 minutes past the hour. So are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? May be hard to believe. Many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit askbeaconnow.com.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, Iran says its missile attack on Israel today was in response to Israel killing terrorist leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah. The U.S. fired missiles to intercept the Iranian barrage. Iran's attack coincided with the suspected terror attack in Tel Aviv, where at least 7 people were killed by getting stabbed and shot. The alleged attackers were killed. With more, here's Karen Travis.
President Biden said the U.S. is still assessing the impact of Iran's strike on Israel Tuesday, but said it appears to have been, quote, defeated and ineffective.
This is testament to Israeli military capability and U.S. military. It's also a testament to intensive planning between the United States and Israel to anticipate and defend against the brazen attack we expected.
Asked how he wants to see Israel respond, Mr. Biden said it is a, quote, active discussion right now.
And former President Trump is reacting to the attack by Iran today. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Speaking in Wisconsin, the former president said the world is now very close to global catastrophe, something that he insists wouldn't be the case if he were still in the White House.
Russia would have never attacked Ukraine.
This would have never happened in the Middle East. It wouldn't have been on October 7th.
In the main, congressional Republicans say the U.S. should stand in solidarity with Israel. It's a sentiment shared by many Democrats.
Right now, in the Hurricane Helene ravaged easternmost Tennessee counties, U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty was with U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, Governor Lee, and State Department heads assessing the damage and response.
We're trying to move this water out as quickly as we can because there's another storm brewing in the Atlantic. If it takes the wrong turn and comes up here again, our ground's saturated, our water levels are high. We've got to be prepared to deal with that, and we are doing everything we can to be prepared for what may come next.
TDOT has 400 people working to repair or rebuild roads and bridges. 300 bridges have been inspected. 5 need rebuilds. 25 state roads have reopened. At least 6 confirmed fatalities and at least 100 still unaccounted for. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Here's Sherry Preston.
American Cancer Society CEO Dr. Karen Knudsen says there's good news to report.
When we look at progress against breast cancer, we are delighted to report a 44% reduction in overall breast cancer mortality since 1989, which was the high watermark for breast cancer death in this country.
Unfortunately, there's also bad news. Breast cancer diagnoses are going up for younger millennial and Gen Z women, possibly because of obesity and possibly because of high alcohol use, both risk factors.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Right now, just a lot of brake tapping for the ride home, especially the South Loop downtown over to 65 South and then 24 over to the 40 split. Doesn't look like 24 is going to get any better until you get past Thompson Lane. Then it's going to start backing up again over at Harding Place. And then if you're heading north to get home out of downtown, no significant slowdowns until you get up to Briley Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270 located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Good afternoon, everybody. 6 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson coming to you live from Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And we are here for the big vice presidential debate tonight. The crowd is starting to gather. We have some WTN folks in the house. I've already seen Matt Murphy wander through. Johnny B is here. So come on down, get a place as we settle in. It's not only us here tonight, but on the other end of the hall, the good people from Fox Nation have gathered. They're going to be doing some television both before and after. And so come on down and get a seat, get an adult beverage, and get ready to watch tonight's vice presidential debate. There is a developing story with regard to the vice presidential debate that has to do with claims made by Governor Tim Walz. Again, there have been some real questions. Some people have been asking questions about whether or not he truly has been to China as many times as he says he has been. On one occasion, he says it was dozens of trips. And then there are other times he says it was about 30 times. Now, his campaign is now saying, well, it's closer to 15 times. But then there's this. Are you ready? From FoxNews.com, Governor Tim Walz's claim of being in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square protest coming under scrutiny after resurfaced newspaper reports contradict his whereabouts during that massacre. In 1989, those of you who remember it, hundreds of protesters were killed by the Chinese military while protesting in Beijing's Tiananmen Square. And here's what Walz has said about it. As a young man, I was just going to teach in Foshan in Guangdong and was in Hong Kong in May of 1989. As an aside, you pretty much have to go through Hong Kong to get to the Guangdong province. I have been there, and it's quite an interesting trip. Walz, then a Minnesota congressman, said of the protest in a 2014 hearing, and I still remember the train station in Hong Kong. Walz claimed again in a 2019 radio interview that he was in Hong Kong the day of the Tiananmen Square massacre. I was in Hong Kong June 4th, 1989, when, of course, Tiananmen Square happened. And I was in China after that. It was very strange because, of course, all outside transmissions were blocked. Voice of America, there were no phones or email or anything. So I was kind of out of touch. It took me a month to know that the Berlin Wall had fallen when I was living there, Walz said. However, all of that is now in question. Is that completely made up? Newly resurfaced newspaper articles contradict Walz's claim. In an April 1989 newspaper article reported that Walz was planning a trip to China in August, while a May 1989 edition of the Alliance Times-Herald shows a picture of Walz actually touring a Nebraska National Guard storeroom at the time that he claimed he was in China. This is according to NPR News, who broke the story. That's Minnesota Public Radio. Fox News Digital reached out to Walz's office and campaigned for a comment, but I got to tell you, this is again one of those things where he seems to have said things that are palpably not true, things that can be proven to be not true. Why would you claim that you were there when you weren't? So, very interesting story, broken first by Minnesota Public Radio and now picked up by the Fox News Channel. The debate will be, I think, sort of an interesting event. Listen to this, this assessment from Washington Examiner. It will be a little different than the presidential debates have been. 90-minute debate hosted by CBS in their network studios in New York City, and will likely be the final debate of the 2024 cycle for either the presidential or vice presidential candidates. Now, there will be different rules. There will be no muted microphones. The microphones were muted during the two presidential debates, but for the vice presidential debate, CBS has said the microphones will be only muted at each candidate's discretion. The network says it reserves the right to turn off a candidate's microphones, but Unlike the CNN and ABC debates, microphones will not be muted while the other candidate is speaking. I think the CBS debate will be a lot like the CNN debate in that apparently the moderators have said that they will not be fact-checking the candidates in real time. Rather, it will leave up to the candidates to fact-check each other. The outlet has said it will provide fact-checking live on its website while the debate airs. This is very similar to what CNN did, but ABC took a different tack, trying to fact-check in real time Donald Trump, but failing to go after any false statements made by Kamala Harris. They came under intense criticism for that and maybe even lost quite a bit of their following at ABC News. The only persons asking question will be CBS's Norah O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan, each candidate receiving 2 minutes to answer a question, the other candidate receiving 2 minutes to respond. They get 1 minute for rebuttals with an additional minute each to continue a discussion, but that is strictly at the discretion of O'Donnell and Brennan. The candidates will not have opening statements. Each will get a 2-minute closing statement. They flipped a coin and Vance won, and he chose to have the last word. He'll have the closing statement. They'll be on their feet for 90 minutes, and O'Donnell and Brennan will be seated. Neither candidate will be allowed to have a pen. Will be allowed to have a pen, paper, and a bottle of water, but not allowed to have props or pre-written notes. They will be checked for that before they come on. So they're going to try to strictly follow the time limits in this particular case. Countdown with lights indicating how much time the candidate has left. The light will be green until there are 15 seconds. At that time, it goes yellow. At 5 seconds left, the light will flash red. And as the clock hits 0, the light becomes solid red. When it gets to be solid red, they will be allowed to finish their sentence, and then the moderators will move in to close off that particular statement. So there we go. A lot of things that are happening tonight, a little different than some of the things we have seen before. Let me do a little moving here. I want to get to the latest of what's going on in the Middle East, because quite frankly, the situation there is quite dire. As you know, if you've been following the news today, maybe you're just getting in your car, you don't know, Iran fired some 200 ballistic missiles in the direction of Israel today. U.S. calls the Iranian missile attack a significant escalation, and Netanyahu has issued a stern warning, saying that there will be consequences, and that Israel will pay for its quote-unquote grave mistake. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issuing a stern warning to Iran after the country attacked Israel with hundreds of rockets on Tuesday. Now, these ballistic missiles are very different. These are big missiles. These aren't cruise missiles. These aren't drones. These arrive when launched from Iran. They can land inside of Israel in 12 minutes. And here's what Netanyahu has said. He said that the attacks were thwarted, and that seems to be true. With the help of the Israeli air defense system and the United States military, the attack on Israel was thwarted. There were some that got through, but apparently nobody lost their life in this attack, which was a significant attack. He says, I commend the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, for its impressive achievement. I also thank the United States for its support in our defense efforts. Iran made a grave mistake this evening and will pay for it. The regime in Iran does not understand our determination to defend ourselves and our resolve to retaliate against our enemies. The Israeli ambassador to the United Nations says that the country reserves the right to defend itself. This is the second time in months that Iran tried to attack Israel directly. And so he says they will be consulting with the United States to decide what kind of action should be taken. Now, there was another terrorist attack that happened just before the missiles were launched. It's almost as if they were timed. 6 people were killed, 9 injured during a Tuesday night terrorist attack in Israel around the same time as a large barrage of rocket fire targeted the Jewish state from Iran. The 6 civilians were either shot and stabbed in Tel Aviv, the Israeli police said. 2 terrorists started a killing spree on a light rail and continued on foot. They were neutralized by authorities and bystanders who were carrying firearms. There you go. And a police spokesman said in a video message released by authorities. No information released on the conditions of the 9 people who were injured. This all happened at about the same time that nearly 200 missiles targeted Israel in an attack by Iran. The president and the vice president were in the Situation Room when this all happened and watched and during the whole thing. I can only say that our military intelligence on this was quite good. Quite good. According to some reporting that I've heard today, we even knew the hour in which they would launch the attack. We have incredible national technical means. The ability to monitor communications inside Iran. We have an ability to, in real time, see what's happening on the ground inside Iran with our satellites. And so it's, there was no surprise at all. Apparently the United States told Israel that it was going to happen. Israel was ready. They even were able to predict within a few minutes the time that this attack against Israel would take place. Now, I think the real question now, the thing that everybody is sort of looking at and trying to figure out is what will happen? Exactly how strong will the response from Israel be? Now, no doubt, if past his prologue, the president, Joe Biden, will try to talk Israel into a large, expansive strike against Iran. But, if past his prologue, Iran will basically do what Iran wants to do. And it does seem as if Iran might take this as the opportunity to really, really degrade the abilities of the Iranian nation to carry out such attacks. Now, the thing that you should know about this is, I think Israel has a much better chance of attacking Iran than Iran has of attacking Israel. I mean, if they can send 200 ballistic missiles into Israel and none of them land in a way that people are harmed, and then most of them were intercepted and blown up before they got there, I don't think that Iran has that same capability. And so Israel has the ability to, as they proved the other day in strikes against the Houthi rebels, they have the ability to launch long-range attacks with their F-15s and F-35s, and they've got superior aircraft and superior technology in every way. And as we've seen in recent days with the explosions of the pagers and the walkie-talkies, they have innovative things that we hadn't even thought about. So I think that Israel may use this as the opportunity to degrade them economically. They would be going after the refineries on the coast, to go after them militarily, to degrade their ability to launch such attacks in the future, and perhaps, more importantly to Israel, to degrade their nuclear capability where they are trying to build nuclear weapons. 20 minutes now past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at United Structural Systems. They've been around since 1994, more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. And you know what? We've had sort of the perfect storm, if you'll excuse that pun, when it comes to, what causes the problems that USS is so prepared to fix. Foundation issues. When you have a long, dry spell, that's when your foundation issues tend to emerge. And then the other thing they do is waterproofing of your basement, and we've had a lot of rain. You need to check your crawl space if you have standing water in your crawl space or water in your basement or musty odors or floor joists with wood rot. this is an opportunity to call these folks and say, hey, come over here and fix what's going wrong here. The foundation issues, the waterproofing, it's what they do, and they're so very good at it. And then the other thing that, of course, they do is if you have sinking or sloping concrete, they're the real experts at putting them back level and plumb. They have the USS Polylift system. They say don't replace it, raise it. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. Again, 615-488-7855. Learn more about all the things they can do to help you with your foundation issues, with waterproofing or concrete leveling. Just go to their website, ussTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
How U.S. military assets were used during Iran's attack on Israel today, and a language barrier issue in the East Tennessee flood. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Ken Weaver in the newsroom, Chris Weber in the control room. In a few minutes, we'll be we'll get all three of us guys together to have our daily, not annual. If it's just an annual event, it wouldn't be that.
It'd be real special then.
Yeah. It's our annual gathering. You know, we're gonna get together and do the Three Amigos here in just a bit. But before we get there, I don't know if you guys were a fan of this show, but I certainly was a big fan of the show, The American Pickers. I mean, did you ever watch that show?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you never knew what kind of treasures Mike and Frank were gonna dig up at, in some of these really obscure places. You got to see hoarders and all kinds of people who've been collecting stuff forever. And then it was so funny that these guys would try to talk them out of some of the stuff that they said they wanted to get rid of, but when it really came down to it, they didn't really want to get rid of much of it. So sometimes it's like pulling teeth. Well, Frank Fritz of the American Pickers has passed away. And that was sort of a surprise. I didn't know this. Apparently, he has been suffering from a stroke and Crohn's disease. He stopped doing the show a while back, and there was some talk of it was never really explained what the reason for that was. Maybe it was health issues. I don't know. But Mike Wolf, who was the other guy, the other part of that show, they traveled around the country in a white van, picking these amazing things they would find and telling on the History Channel. That was the History Channel's way of doing history, because they would tell the history of these items, when they would take them. Well, apparently, according to Wolf, it's with broken heart that I share with all of you that Frank has passed away. We've been on countless trips and shared so many miles, and I feel blessed that I was by his side when he took one last journey home. I love you, buddy, and will miss you so much. I know you're in a better place. Fritz was born in LeClaire, Iowa, and previously suffered a stroke. The cause of death not immediately known. Friends of Fritz posted that he passed away Monday night surrounded by friends, as well as Wolf. And you remember Danielle, who was also featured on this. She was sort of the person who would find them the great places to go. She said, Frank, I'll miss your ability to make everyone laugh, your love for talking about tattoos, your epic collections, and she had a bunch of them, and your epic collections, but I will miss the most are those glimpses of vulnerability from time to time. Frank Fritz has passed from the scene as a relatively young man, and somebody that was in a lot of people's homes, and certainly if you love that show, you love the rapport between Mike and Frank. And at times they got on each other's nerves, and that happened too. The other thing, this is a major announcement. This is a history that has never been attained before. No former U.S. president has ever reached the age of 100, but that changed today. Jimmy Carter turned 100 years old. He served one term in the White House, hit the milestone Tuesday at his home in Plains, Georgia, where he's been receiving hospice care for the last 19 months. The proud Democrat, who has grown increasingly weaker in recent months, has told relatives he wants to hang on to October 15th. That's when early voting begins. He wants to cast his ballot in the 2024 election. I think we can all agree, most people looking at the life of Jimmy Carter and his wife, Rosalind Carter, that maybe he wasn't the greatest president we've ever had, but he made a pretty good former president, and really did a lot of good in the world with his habitat projects where he would build homes for people. So he has passed. He's passing that milestone today, turning 100, the first time that a president or former president has reached that age. Time for the news now at 5:30.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, Pentagon spokesman Major General Pat Ryder saying the U.S. coordinated closely with Israel's military to help defend it against what he calls a significant attack by Iran today.
U.S. Navy destroyers deployed to the Middle East region supported the defense of Israel by firing approximately a dozen interceptors against the incoming Iranian missiles.
Now, Israel says a shooting at a travel station in Tel Aviv preceded the missile attack. The shooting took at least 7 lives. The 2 attackers, using a knife and guns, have been killed. Right now, in the Hurricane Helene ravaged easternmost Tennessee counties, State Transportation Commissioner Butch Ely says the past 100 hours have been productive.
We had 47 sections of roadway that were closed down. We've now opened 25 of those. Now we've got 25 reopened already in that amount of time. As the governor said, we've had 300 bridges that have been inspected, and that's to get these things back open.
Now, 5 bridges are going to need to be rebuilt, 4 of them already under contract. Meanwhile, a language barrier has been an issue. TEMA says it was not aware of the size of the Spanish-speaking population in Unicoi County. The director says they've hired translators to help. Reporters asked how it might have affected Impact Plastics, where workers were trapped in floodwaters. Several family members learning today that their loved ones did not survive, according to Channel 4. Governor Lee was asked about the plastics plant and how some family members are still trying to learn what happened to their loved ones.
There's a lot unknown about what unfolded on that day, and I suppose we'll learn what has unfolded in the future. And I can't speak to particulars about a certain building, but it's tragic.
Impact Plastics issued a news release expressing sympathies for employees who were missing or had died, saying at no time were employees told they would be fired if they left the facility. And it says there were bilingual employees among the group of managers who delivered the message. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Oops, that's me. Let's get right on that traffic, shall we? Right now, it is looking like a lot of brake tapping trying to get out of town in the usual spots, especially if you're going north and south out of the South Loop downtown. Both 65 north and southbound really backed up. In fact, the same situation going 40 eastbound over to the 24-40 split from the East Loop downtown. Heading north out of town, not much trouble at all. I'm seeing just a little bit of brake tapping up around Goodlettsville. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Stoltz Co. If you need a pole barn, if you're in the market for a pole barn, the 2 brothers that run Stoltz Co. are 2 guys you need to talk to. Known for exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices, they can build your new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind, and that is the Stoltz Co. difference. Here's the thing. If you've got land, you're not doing anything with it, why don't you make an investment in that property? Build something on it. Maybe a barn dominium, which is basically a barn that you live in. They're really cool, and a lot of people would like to have one. It could be a place where you retire. It could be a place you go on the weekends. What about a pole barn that you store your stuff in, your boats, your cars, your precious things that you have in your life, whatever it is that you collect. Garages, or an equestrian space, or an event space, maybe a place to hang out on weekends, one way or the other. Just go to their website, stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO.com. Take a look at some of the things they've done for other people, and then give them a call and get started. 615-622-5992. Again, that's stoltzco.com, stoltzco.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, 5:37. That music means it's time for the Three Amigos to gather. The Three Amigos are, well, Ken Weaver in the newsroom.
Good afternoon, boys.
And there's Chris Weber in the control room.
Good afternoon. Hello.
And I am Brian Wilson, and you hear a lot of talking in the background because I'm not in my studio in Watertown. I'm in Murfreesboro for the big event tonight, the big debate to watching party. A lot of people have gathered, and so you'll hear a little background noise, but we're still going to do our Three Amigos thing, and I'm willing to let either one of you guys start because I think I started the last time.
Go ahead, Brother Chris.
All right, I will kick things off here today. This is a family story. I believe this family's in the Chattanooga area. And, you know, it's real important when you have children, especially young children, you want to document those milestone moments for future, you know, looking back upon, and for other family members that maybe not be able to attend. And this is one of those moments where the family was celebrating the 1-year birthday of daughter Elliot. And so the family had gathered, and they were celebrating this. And also it happened to coincide with Elliot starting to take her first steps, which is about normal for a child around the 1-year age. So they're videotaping this birthday party. And the mother says, we were working on getting her to walk. So they were videotaping that as she was trying to walk from her sister over to her aunt. But then suddenly Elliot's 3-year-old cousin jumped into the frame, into the foreground of the video. And he didn't really spoil the video too much. You could still see Elliot walking and taking her first steps in the background. But in the foreground, Brady shows up, again, 3 years old, holding a giant butcher knife. It was the knife that they used to cut the cake with, and Elliot found it and saw that it had icing all over it, and he wanted to lick the icing off of the knife. Thankfully, they jumped into action, took the knife away from Elliot before he could do any damage with that. But just wanted a little cake icing. Anyway, what makes this so humorous is that, of course, this video made its way onto the internet.
Right.
And it happens to cut off right at the moment that Brady walks into frame holding the giant knife. So
you don't know what happened.
No one knows what happens.
It looks like one of those Halloween movies.
Yeah, it looks like something that would be in a horror movie. But fortunately, nothing happened. They took the knife away from young Brady, and now the family can have this video to look back upon and laugh at as the years pass by. And And they say that they wanted to share it because they had a laugh about it, and they wanted other people to get a laugh about it, too. So.
It reminds me of, he might be a star in that show, Dexter. Have you ever watched that show, Dexter?
Oh,
One
yeah.
of my favorites.
Love it. Yeah.
You like that show, man?
I freaking love it.
Oh, yeah.
It's
very dark.
It's an acquired taste. It's pretty dark.
He's got a dark passenger.
And it's coming back.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Yes.
Yep.
They did like 8 seasons of it, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then they came back a couple years back and did a kind of a final season. I mean, it was not very good to me. But now they're rebooting it again. They're going to do the Young Dexter series,
right?
As well as there is another season or another series of the actual Dexter coming back.
Yeah. I mean, if you've never seen the show, I want to warn you, it's a little different.
It's graphic.
It's pretty graphic and it's pretty dark.
It's good vigilanteism.
All right, what do you got, Ken?
All right, and this is something that everybody in Middle Tennessee better pay attention to. Black bears are making their home in Middle Tennessee. This is from WKRN News 2. Lots of people are moving to Middle Tennessee. Turns out we're not alone. Black bears are moving here, too. Wildlife officials are telling us what's bringing these amazing animals back to Middle Tennessee. This is Black Bear Program Coordinator at the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Dan Gibbs, who tells us
is doing quite well.
The black bear population, he says, is doing quite well. He explains that Middle Tennessee was historically home to many black bears, but then settlers hunted them, relegating them to the eastern part of the state. That is until now.
Just the pleasure of seeing a bear, right, in areas that haven't been seen in over 100 years. We refer to it as just recolonization. They're just reclaiming habitat that they formerly had.
I don't know if I would find running up on a black bear as a pleasure.
Yeah.
Because I like to go walking in places in Middle Tennessee and Murfreesboro specifically, where he says
the male, she's going to push it on away. So they're running into big males that are saying, "Hey, don't want you around here." So they just keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed. They end up somewhere like Murfreesboro when it's 2:00 in the morning, and then the lights come on and they think, "Oh my goodness, what have I done?" And they're just trying to get out.
Yeah. So who pushes around a big black male bear? That's the mama bear. She doesn't want anything to do with him anymore. So apparently they're finding their way to Murfreesboro, according to this Wildlife Resources.
As someone who lives in Murfreesboro, that you put more than a passing interest in that.
Exactly, because I like to go on walks along Stones River and up at Barfield. And I mean, you're out in the forest.
Yep.
And that's where you are too, Brother Brian, out there at Hot Springs.
I'm just looking out across the horizon to see if there are any bears. No, listen, I don't think I would want to encounter a bear. I mean, to be honest with you, I've seen only one bear in my life.
Yeah.
And, you go up into I don't know, Leaper's Fork, not Leaper's Fork. What am I trying to say? The place where Dollywood is.
Yes.
Pigeon Forge.
Pigeon Forge. Thank you. You go there, and in that area, it's not uncommon to see bears.
Yeah.
But in right around here in Middle Tennessee, in these heavily populated areas, I don't know, heavily populated areas and bears, I don't think they mix very well.
No. Well, and you talk about the mama bears pushing the male bears out, but I mean, so is all of the construction around here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. I mean, it's flushing everything out. So, yeah, TWRA is telling everybody, especially in Middle Tennessee and Murfreesboro, you better put the trash can and the grills in the garage. No pet food. You cannot leave pet food outside either.
Don't leave any food in your vehicle either, because they can smell it.
I did have one bear encounter in Colorado. I was on a vacation trip with my daughter, and we were up in the mountains near Durango, in a little place called Lake Valsita. Had a cabin up there, and we'd been down to town in Durango, and had come back with we'd gone to Starbucks and had come back and. I just got through with the, I don't like leaving coffee cup in the car, so I threw it in the trash can that was on the porch. And so then we go to bed, and it's dark and it's late, and we are in the middle of nowhere. and all of a sudden this horrible racket, and I'm running, and apparently a bear, and we know it was a bear because the bear got a hold of the Starbucks cup, got chocolate all over its paws, and then when I went out and banged on the back door to try to scare it off, and it ran off. And so we went outside, and there are all these chocolate bear paws on the deck. I learned right then and there that, I don't think you want, the thing you got to be careful about, don't get between a mama bear and her baby.
No, sir.
That's the real problem. And the problem is you don't know where the babies are sometimes.
If you see the babies, you need to turn and just walk away.
That's right.
Sure.
And, they're not cute, and you don't want to have anything to do with them, and the mama's probably not far away. The other thing is if you see a bear, they say that the thing you can do is to make yourself as large as possible.
That's
Raise
why,
your hands.
I bring a small ladder with me.
Yep. You should carry a wiener dog. That would be, at least it'd be a good sacrifice.
Oh, I'd never do that to my little Fritz.
Not to Fritz. Okay. This story comes from Italy. An Italian. I don't know the Guinness World Book of Records. Sometimes the stuff that you learn is. Well, it's disconcerting and troubling. An Italian woman's massive mouth muscle earned her... I'm just reading the story the way it was written.
Are we sure we can talk about this?
Yeah, no, I think we can. Her Guinness World Record. Her tongue was confirmed to have a larger circumference than a ping pong ball.
Ping pong ball. Okay.
Ambra Colina, age 37, told the Guinness World Record she decided to apply for the record after seeing Dante Barnes, the former holder of the male version of the largest tongue circumference record.
Goodness.
Colina's tongue was measured 3 times by a doctor. Now, the question is, how do you measure one's tongue? And you're looking not for the length, but the circumference.
Right.
Well, it was measured at 5.4 inches.
Wow. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's something, isn't it?
Goodness.
She took the female version of the record from Oregon resident Jenny Duvander, who was awarded the title earlier this year with a measurement of 5.21 inches. The male version currently held by a Belgian. I mean, who thinks about entering these kinds of contests? Yeah. I hold the world record for having the thickest tongue.
I mean, if you had a big tongue, you might think of it.
Yeah, right. Belgian Sasha Feiner, whose tongue measures almost 6.7 inches in circumference.
I just did a Google search for tongue Guinness World Record.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of an unappetizing thing to talk about.
The images are not very pleasing to look at either.
No, this lady, it looks like her tongue has been run over or something. It's got like a divot in it.
Like some tongues are like what? They look like pancakes.
You know, I went to a dentist one time, and I was having some dental work done, and the dentist was making notes about what they found inside my mouth, and the dentist told me, said, you have a very large tongue for your mouth. Your tongue is too big for your mouth. And I was saying, nobody has ever told me that before.
Too big for your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it's a thing. Who knew?
I mean, it fits inside, so it must not be too big.
Well, but I mean, it explains why I end up biting my tongue so much, apparently. It's too big. It's amazing I can talk at all, quite frankly.
You're a medical marvel.
A medical marvel. All right, we'll leave it there. 50 minutes now past the hour. If you've heard me read, you know that to be true. Let's let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. My friends Carly and Jamie will take good care of you like you're one of their own. Be a part of the 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program there. Gain your confidence back. And weight loss, can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. These are customizable treatment plans, not one size fits all. They will talk to you about your needs, your lifestyle, and your goals. So if your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest techniques in weight loss management. Just go to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The U.S. says it's working with Israel on next steps after Iran's strikes on Israel today. That's coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, we are here at Murfreesboro at Hop Springs. The place is starting to hop. They've opened up the big garage doors to the outside. And we're going to have a really nice evening here tonight as we get ready for the big vice presidential debate. We're here, and joining me here in the next hour will be Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy. We're really looking forward to another hour with all the guys here in one spot, and then an extra bonus hour after that as we get ready for the debate. On the other end of the bar is the folks from Fox Nation, who will be arriving any moment now to begin their broadcast. So you come on down to Hop Springs. Be happy to have you here for tonight's big vice presidential debate. And we want to say thanks to the Glock store and to the other folks who have been helping us with all of this. All Four Seasons Garage Door are sponsors tonight. It is now 57 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. All right, it's the spooky season. Don't be tricked. Let Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner, treat your family with some specials. 50% off furnace inspection and 20% off any furnace repair that the work is done at the time of the service. It includes check, test, and start only. An additional fee for maintenance and repair must be done at the time of inspection. $69 for a mainline camera inspection from the outside and a big clean out. Find out if your drain pipes are clean, cracked, or clogged. For up to $300 off an ultraviolet home treatment system installation for your HVAC system. And remember, the Beehive Club. As a Beehive member, you'll receive 3 annual tune-ups, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at heating, one aimed at plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit with $1,000 max, no overtime or holiday fees. For as little as $99, you get all that. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
If you want to improve your shooting, you got to get away from lanes. This is Shoot 270, located inside the Glock store. I invite you to come down and check us out. I know you're going to love the shooting range, and you're going to love the retail store. See you there.